Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 2. We're going to talk a little bit around digitalization. And as you can see from the title in the program, we call it evolution or revolution, both with an exclamation mark and a question mark. So we're going to talk that through a little bit. So if you're here to learn about machine learning, the latest in analytics, IoT, I have to disappoint you. We're really going to be looking at what is it that really drives our industry and how can we really move forward in this digital space. The way I wanted to do it is really quickly set the scene for 5 or 10 minutes. And I want to talk a bit about the why, talk about the what and the how. And for those of you who've had a classical education, you all know that all good things come in 3. And that's what we're going to be focusing on really quick is to see what is it that we want to do, but more importantly, how do we get the value out of our digital transformation. I want to start off with the revolution, and whether we like it or not, but we are in the midst of a revolution. And it doesn't feel like a revolution, but it truly is. And the reason for that is, when you look at what happened over the last 3 industrial revolutions, this one is really different. And it's different in a number of cases. First of all, what we are seeing is this fusion of technologies. When we look at the other industrial revolutions, it was just a very single technical solution, whether it was the steam engine or whether it was around the mass production, but it was really focused around a single domain. This is a cross-domain. The second thing that's differently is we talked about this fusion of these technologies, but it's also across all industries. When we looked, for instance, around the steam engine, it really was around the spinning jenny, really around the ability to speed up the manufacturing of cloth. This really goes across all industries. And the third thing that really is different, and that's I think why it is such a revolution, is the pace at which this is manifesting itself. In the past, it used to be a nice linear progression, but what we're seeing now in this space, that really this technology is picking up at an exceptional, an exponential pace. So keep that in mind. We are in the midst in this industrial revolution. It was actually called only in 2015 by Mr. Schwab, not the Schwab from the investment firm, but somebody else. But mainly to highlight that 2015 just has been yesterday, but we're in the midst of this revolution. The reason why we're in this revolution is, of course, we try to get some value. We try to get a lot of value from that. And this slide is a slide I stole from the World Economic Forum. Actually talks about the value for the digital transformation in the order of $1.5 trillion. And that's on the low end of their estimate. So when you read the report, it actually says it could be as high as $2.5 trillion. Just for argument's sake, if we look at countries around the world that have a certain GDP, which countries have a GDP close to $1.5 trillion? Any suggestion? Any takers? So the question is, which country do you associate with the GDP of around $1.5 trillion? Anybody? Come on. I know it's Wednesday morning. Probably didn't have your coffee yet, but you must have some thoughts. Yeah. Close. It's when I looked at it a couple of days ago, it was somewhere between Canada and South Korea. Yeah. The UK is slightly above that. But just imagine, yeah. So the value that's associated, although in this case over 10 years, is the same as the GDP that Canada or South Korea creates every year. So a tremendous amount of value. The other thing to really point out, and that's I think the main reason why we're here, is this little number, that says $637 billion. And it's $637 billion in societal benefits. So not only the value that we can assign to the assets, not only the value that we can assign to improving our current operations, but really helping society move forward. And I think for me, and as you can see, it's almost the same number between the 745 billion and the 637 billion. Tremendous value in helping society move forward. And I think that is the reason why we're here today. So, having said that, we know that we're in the midst of a revolution. we know there's a lot of value to be gained, both from the assets as well as from a society benefit. And more importantly, we have all of a sudden a new tool. The new tool is the cloud that enables us to actually fuse all these technologies and bring all these technologies together. So in that sense, we should be home free. Again, we have the technology and we got the value drivers. So what's the problem? Well, we don't have a problem. Look at this. We've got all the leaders of all the energy companies proclaiming that we are in this transformation to really capture the value for society. Whether it's Shell, ExxonMobil, Total, Saudi Aramco, or even the EAA. So all are on the same page. We are on our way. So we got the technology, we got the value, and we got the leaderships actually to drive this transformation. Well, the question, why I put a question mark at the end of it, because I don't think it's that straightforward. When I talk to a lot of the executives all around the world, whether it's a big or small companies, there's a couple of things that stand out. A lot of these CEOs are actually struggling with this digital transformation. And some of the numbers are slightly different, but this is becoming a little bit of a theme. So when I talk to these executives, I hear that a third of the leadership team is fully on board. They get it, they see the value, and they're energized. A third of the leadership teams go like, yeah, 2 more years before my retirement, I'll do whatever my boss tells me to do. And there's actually a third that goes like, over my dead body. And it really is a problem, yeah? So if you are a CEO and you just proclaim to the world that we're in the midst of this transition, we are making this happen, and half of your leadership team is at best supporting you and maybe at worst trying to block you, that really is a problem. So keep that in mind. I think there's a cultural element why we're not seeing this rapid take-up. The second element that might be the reason for that is because I think we are evolving, whether we like it or not. I think we're evolving slowly our business models. This is not something that I made up. It's actually a fantastic short article in the Harvard Business Review that actually dates back to 2014, and it talks about the creation of network orchestrators. So it's these organizations that foster an environment where data is being shared, where people are actually collectively working together in not only sharing the data, but as you can see from the bottom slide, also creating value. And it's creating value across the ecosystem to do so. So that might be part of some of the challenge. So where does that leave us? It really leaves us to what we want to talk about this morning is around a certain premise. And the premise that I want to throw out there is that, as you can see, the future of data will require collaboration and the ability to share large volumes of data with multiple parties. And we're going to try to explore that a little bit this morning, whether the premise is true and whether we can actually find ways and get to the how to deliver on this value, not just only for the assets and for our shareholders, but also for society. And the way we're going to be doing that is we're going to have a fantastic lineup of speakers that try to cover that entire ecosystem. We're very pleased to see that Simon James is going to kick us off as the CTO for the Oil and Gas Authority, getting their perspective. What does it mean when we talk about data and sharing a lot of public data? We have Johan Krebbes from Shell and Koen Bigelaar from AWS talking about what's happening in the industry and how can, for instance, OSDU help us, again, try to find different and new ways of collaboration. We have Gillian White from the OGTC, the Oil and Gas Technology Center, sharing some of their experiences, how they look at data and how they collaborate. And then Alan Chetney came all the way over from Canada, looking at how do we now implement it? What are different ways that we can change these workflows and enable that to happen? And finally, Stephen Werner from Schlumberger is going to talk us a little bit about how do they collaborate and how do they see also the role of the geoscientist change.